Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Tenacious Dev Vlog number 5. Got a lot done in this time around, in this past 2 weeks, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. So firstly, let's go through some UI changes. You can see at the bottom here, we have this new gold UI and shards UI here. I'll explain what shards do a little bit later, and we have this level UI. This is all placeholder right now, this is going to change in the future. And I implemented a feature where if you hover over the ability slots, you will get a little info window about what item is currently in that slot. So if I go ahead and equip a crown and I have the tabs open on the left or the right, I can see, okay, I have a great sword and I have a crown. Alright, the other thing that was implemented for the UI was this info window that tells you a little bit about how to play the game. So for alpha builds, that'll probably show up when you first start the game. It'll tell you how to play, and hopefully it helps. And I think the last thing that was done for the UI was this forge button actually costs money now, or actually takes your money away. I have dev mode enabled right now, so it'll be 0, but just know that when you forge, it'll say a cost right here. So right now it says 0 gold. When you forge, it'll show a cost that will deduct from your overall gold. Okay, so gameplay wise, we did a bunch of gameplay changes, balance changes. So change the way that loot level works. So previously loot level was on a scale of 1 to 5, and that was it. So if you were able to get a legendary +5 in the first level, you basically have no incentive to change your equipment, right? So what I've done right here is I've set the level right now to level 11. So what I can show you now is the weapon levels now go up to the max dungeon level that you've completed. So I can click this level +1 button up until 10. I've completed 10 levels. The next one is level 11, so that's why I can't craft to 11 yet. But you can see that the scaling is a lot more drastic now as well. So here's the base damage, 2.5 damage dash, not very much, but appropriate for the first level. But now if I go all the way up to +11, you can, or +10, sorry, you can see this dash does 22.5 damage now, so that's 20 more damage. So the reasoning behind this change was to encourage players to swap their equipment more often. The idea is that if the stats are more drastic between each dungeon level, the differences in the stats, you're going to be incentivized to change your items and change your build. So you might get a legendary item that's really useful at level 1, but you might find in a few levels that it won't be as useful. So let me go into the game with let me show you how drastic this is. So let me do a +2 sword. I'll equip that guy. Also, we have this new legendary effect here, but that's a work in progress, so it's not technically done yet. Okay, so I'm in the dungeon. I have a +2 sword on a level 11 dungeon. You'll notice that I'm not going to do hardly any damage to these guys. I'm smacking them and smacking them, and they're not dying quickly at all. And of course, the priests are healing them a little bit. So now, let me see if I can find a weapon in one of these chests down here. Hopefully I get one. There's a sword. Okay, so I pick up the sword now, and now I'm actually going to be able to chunk these guys a lot better. You can see that I'm having a much easier time killing them. So that's just the way to, that's just a way, like I said, to encourage players to swap their equipment. This balance will probably be changing depending on how it plays. It plays pretty well right now, but there will still be tweaks, but this is the general design philosophy for this feature. So one of the changes that was made to the controls was previously when you were attacking, you would slow down gradually, and it didn't accept any movement input. So let's say that you were moving up and you clicked to attack, you would just slow down while you were moving up. You wouldn't be able to change your direction or anything. You'd continue in the direction that you were going when you attacked. This meant, however, that if you're standing still and you click, you wouldn't be able to move after you attack, so you'd be stuck in place. Now that doesn't feel very good. So the change that I made for this sprint was your movement inputs are still taken while you're attacking. It just slows your max speed. So I believe it slows the player down to 20% of max speed. So I still achieve the design goal of making it so that you have to think when you attack and you can't just kite and spam the attack button as easily without taking damage. But at the same time, you still have control over where your character is moving, it's just slower. So previously, control was lost when you attacked, control was taken away from your movement, and that's been undone. So now you can move. See how I can move in circles while I'm attacking? Previously, you wouldn't have been able to do this. So this makes the combat feel a lot smoother. And this was a direct result. This change was a direct result of alpha feedback. So thank you to all who gave me that feedback. Alright, so the last major feature that I worked on for this sprint was the dungeon completion rewards. So basically, after finishing 15 dungeon levels, you will get a currency called a shard. And what you can do with this shard is you can go to the forge, and for one shard you can unlock an item completely. So let's say, like, even in this case where I have the great sword discovered but I don't have the rarities unlocked, I can spend one shard to unlock it completely. Now I've unlocked it completely. Now you can see I can craft a legendary version, and I can craft any of the legendary affixes on top of it. And this also works with undiscovered items. So I don't know what these items are. I mean, I do because I'm the developer, right? But so basically, like this great axe here, it's not discovered yet in the game, but I can say unlock with the shard, and now I can create any rarity with any affixes I want on there. And again, that's a reward. You get a single shard after completing all 15 dungeon levels. Alright, now let's take a look at the Trello board. So, in addition to those features that I mentioned, there was also a number of bugs that were fixed. So we fixed a bug where sometimes the boss doesn't spawn. We fixed a bug with the interaction between the plate helm and the kebab mechanic of the spear. So that's finished. Fixed a bug where you could sometimes craft undiscovered rarities of equipment. Fix another bug where the meteor indicators go away after the boss dies, so that's done. Loot no longer lands outside the playable area, so it'll actually bounce off the walls and make sure it lands inside of the movable playable area. And probably the biggest bug fix is this one, where keepers get stuck in corners. So I reworked the keeper AI. Now they will never get stuck in corners, and they will always run away from the player. So they kind of always ran away from the player before, but now they're guaranteed to. Alright, so looking at the in progress and next up, I'm still working on finishing up the legendary effect for items that are on the ground. So that's in process. That should be done within a stream or two. I'm thinking about doing some shader effects for that to make it really pop. I'm going to implement after that a treasure room after you finish all of the levels, and this will basically just be a ton of gold that you can complete. You'll probably collect the shard at that point as well, but I haven't decided for sure. And then looking at the backlog, we need to still add some legendaries for the plate armor, one more legendary affix, and we need to add legendary affixes for the Spartan helm. I just got into contact with the artist, and he's working on these new art assets. I should mention specifically the ability icons, which people have been requesting a lot, so that's coming up. There's some UI polish that needs to be done, some optimizations that need to be done with sound effects, and I don't have it written down here, but I am going to be getting more sound effects and redoing a couple of them, so that's in the old head keg as well. And one of the other ones that was highly requested was like a dungeon minimap, and what I'm thinking about doing for this is a Diablo or Path of Exile style minimap where you can overlay it on top of your screen, semi-transparent, and you can see where you've been and where you need to go. So that should help with the dungeon navigation a little bit. I also tentatively put this one in here for a new boss. Haven't decided what this boss is yet, so maybe it's not appropriate for it to be in the backlog, but it's in there just so that I can keep coming back to it and thinking about it. Alright, well that's Devlog 5 for Tenacious. Be sure to check out, there's an alpha build right now available for Windows and Linux, so visit the website tenaciousgame.com to give that a play. If you like it or if you don't like it, pop into Discord and tell me why. Tell me what needs to be fixed and what's wrong with it. And I've been addressing all the feedback, and a lot of these bugs and a lot of these features were the direct result of feedback, so that's great. So if you can provide more of that, I would very much appreciate it. And yeah, check out the stream. Currently I stream every weekday, at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So pop in there to see live development of Tenacious. And I will see you guys on the stream and in the next dev vlog.